What's up? I've got my friend Dan O'Connell. He's one of my great real estate agent friends. And Dan, I'm so excited to have you on today.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Thanks
yes,
for thanks for inviting me. Yeah, I'm trying to think about how we connected or where we met. And I think it was obviously through the Zero to Diamond program. I can't remember.
Discord?
I don't think it was on Discord. I think it was just one of Ricky's when he was doing the live cold callings. He was talking about the different Zoom rooms. And you were on one of those, and it was like, hit me up if you want the link to the room. And I was like, what the heck is this all about? And I think I hit you up, or maybe somebody else up, and they're like, yeah, send it to me. And that's where we met. And I was, kind of the new person in the room, and you guys were just crushing the phones. I was like, I got to be in here nonstop.
Well, now it's come for full circle because now I know that you have your own Zoom room
Yeah.
where you've got a group of agents making calls, and I'll get on there too sometimes. So, um, no, like I think we've spent hours together on Zoom just making cold calls together, and I
Yeah.
finally met you in person actually after spending all this time with you on the internet.
Right.
At where was it? Shareholders?
Yeah. Shareholders in Orlando I think it was last May.
Yeah. And it was so
Yep.
weird. It was kind of surreal. I was like, "Oh, hey Dan, what's up?"
Right. I know that's the crazy thing. Like, that show on Netflix, Catfish, comes to mind when we spend so much time with people like on Zoom rooms or like on the internet, just like working and grinding. But that's the cool part about like being in our industry right now is like there's no agents here in my market that I work with because I work with you guys, and you're in Florida, and people are
Yeah.
in New York and Minnesota and South Carolina and Georgia. And it's cool
Yes.
because we're not competing against each other for listings, but we're pouring into each other and learning each other's objection handlers. And then that one or two conference per year we get to meet up. It's like, holy crap, dude, you actually do exist.
Well, but the two, it translates. It's like your brain doesn't understand the difference of, spending time on Zoom with someone versus face to face. So I literally just saw you in person and it
Right.
was just like, "Hey, what's up?" Like, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like it didn't feel like that was the first time that we had met in person because it was just
Yeah.
very like, "Hey, what's up, man?" You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
No different.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, those Zoom rooms are fun. Being in real estate for now 4 years, like the first year and a half, maybe first, yeah, year and a half or 2 years, I didn't do any Zoom rooms. So I was literally just like in that
By
dark
yourself.
closet in the basement with no windows, no, I mean, obviously I was, in a normal office, but like I just had like the blinders on, and I was
Same.
just like grinding solo. And then you get into
Mhm.
the Zoom rooms and you build like friendship, and those days that are tough, those Thursdays or Fridays that roll around, you're like, gosh, I've been crushing the phone all week, maybe I'll just take a day off. But you log into the Zoom room and there's dudes on there just like going ham on the phones, and you're like, all right, whatever, I'll just load it up again.
It's so motivating because 'cause I'm like, "Man,
Yeah.
I don't wanna be the buster here." So I'm, like,
Right.
in there just trying to keep up, right? And it's cool. But I wanna
And
know,
then when
like, so that is what I wanna talk about. I wanna hear about, like, how long you've been selling, what market are you in? Like, what's your story?
Yeah, okay, so I got my license at the end of 2019. I'm in a very little town in Franklin, North Carolina, very far west. Uh, People can fly into Asheville. We're like an hour west of Asheville, um, 15 minutes to Georgia border. And my market is predominantly like mountain homes, second homes. Tons of folks from Florida, we call them halfbacks. They'll retire in Florida, and then they'll move halfway back to North Carolina, Tennessee, or Georgia. And so they buy cabins up here and kind of spend 10 or 15 years up here. Then the sad, story happens. They need health care, or someone passes
Yeah.
away and they have to go back to Florida to get better health care, to be with family so they
Yeah.
can, spend the last 2 or 3 years of their lives. Um, but that's kind of where I am. Like I said, I got licensed in 2019. I used to be a high school teacher, and I taught PE and coached football. I'd have summers off, so I would like listen to the Bigger Pockets and listen to all these, investing shows and podcasts. And my wife and I, we bought a duplex as our first home. Did the whole house hacking thing before I like realized that was an actual like
Brilliant. That was the
hashtag
best
or
move ever.
term. Yeah, yeah, we
Yeah,
still have them today. So we've got two duplexes in Spartanburg, South Carolina, and we're not like making a killing off of it, but we're not spending any money. We're just building equity, and we bought those things in
yeah.
2015, so you can imagine what they're worth now. Um, and I
And
was
it's
always
passive income too.
yeah, yeah, passive income, exactly, and nice tax write-offs, so like if I've
Yes.
got an extra 10K sitting around, I'll be like, all right, let's go redo the siding on the duplexes and try to lower my income a little bit.
Yeah.
But I would, yeah,
That's nice.
I would see my agent, and she was super cool. And I'm like, what are you doing for like the rest of the day? Like what is your day to day? Because I was like kind of getting burnt out, like, oh, I got to go to class and I got to deal with these high school kids, like stop
Mm.
cussing, stop chewing gum year after year. And she's like, of course, she made it sound all like fancy and fun. Oh, I've got a coffee date, and then I got to go show another house, and then I got to take my kids to practice. And I'm like, that sounds awesome. I want to do that, Um,
Is that what your day looks
and
like
then,
now? Are you going to coffee dates
no,
and you know,
yeah,
is it as
no,
glamorous
no,
as
not
what
at
you thought it
all.
would be? You know,
No,
right?
it's not. Yeah, it's the complete opposite. But I really enjoy it because shoot, if you wanted to go on coffee dates,
Yeah.
and go show one more house, you could. But that's just not the type of day that I find myself doing, because it's just, that's another amazing part is you can make as much as a doctor, a lawyer,
Yeah.
or you can make as much as a teacher. It's just solely up to you.
Yes. That's one of the things that I've always said that I love about this business is that we can, the sky's the limit. We can do as much or as little as we want, you know, which is I think motivating for me because I'm like, wow, if I can keep going, that's what I want to
Yeah.
do. And not just, rest on my laurels. Um, so you're in North Carolina. Do you also sell in South Carolina?
I used to have my South Carolina license, but then, like I said, I was a high school teacher there. I got licensed there, but then right when the pandemic hit, we moved to North Carolina when our superintendent came on and canceled the school season
Oh,
for the second semester. My wife lives here. She grew up here in this town. We'd come back to this town every single weekend when I was a teacher, and it's just it's a dream come true to be able to live here in a there's no traffic. It's extremely safe. My kids have like 15 cousins, so they're just
well, let's
like
talk
it's.
about your kids. How many kids do you have?
I've got three kids, three boys, 3, 5, and 7. And
Three,
they're just,
5, and 7.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, boys.
My wife
Dude,
does an
that's a
amazing
full-time
job.
job.
Yeah,
Yeah. You gotta have help. You
yeah, she
gotta have
does.
backup.
Yeah, yeah. She stays at home with them, but yeah, it's nonstop.
Oh, yeah, yeah, exactly. I have one, and I
Right.
don't know how you do three, especially that
Yeah,
close together. So definitely impressed with that. So, like,
yeah.
were there any challenges that you faced when you started your journey in real estate? I mean, how did you find your way to where you are now?
Yeah, I guess I found my way. So having like an education background, I studied. I knew I wanted to get into real estate. So, and this was probably in like 2017. So again, I didn't get my license until like 2019, 2020. So I spent like 3 years like studying the real estate game and like just like zoomed way out and was like, I'll never forget, like on a whiteboard, I was like, what makes a good agent? And I
Mhm.
started looking around on Facebook and like looking at like Zillow and stuff, and finding these people's Facebooks and finding their Instagrams and finding, what they do. And of course, I went down a huge rabbit hole of like YouTube sales and all that sort of stuff. So, long story short, I just kept digging and digging and digging. And finally, I found this dude named Ricky Caruth.
Yeah, I know
And I
him.
was I was like, this guy, man, like this dude just like speaks my language, like, I
Mhm.
walk, talk, and act like him kind of already. And, he's just like extremely real. Like, even to this day, I don't even like consider Ricky like a salesperson, because he's just not
Yeah.
like, he's not slimy. He's not like, go in, like, here's all the objection handlers and here's all this. And here it's like, dude, just
Go
pick
for
up
the
the phone.
signature.
Yeah, just pick up the phone, call them, tell them exactly who you are, and you're here to help, and do that more than anybody else, and you'll be at the top. And I was like, dude, like,
I can do
bingo.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I heard him talk at an we had like this EXP like world thing, on Sunday nights where it's like real estate 101. And he
Yeah.
was actually still with Remax when he came in there. And
Oh.
I was listening to him and I was like, dude, I've seen this guy on YouTube. Like, let me just do like a little bit more digging, and went to his website, did the whole 60-day program, the 90-day program. And I was like, there's got to be more to this. Are you sure it's like just this simple? And sure enough, Ricky, he just keeps pounding it over and over. Conversations lead to transactions, relationships over transactions, 200 a day, 2 hours a day, time block. The only time you're not doing it is if you're going on appointments, closings, negotiating deals, writing offers. Fill it all with cold calls and social media if you want to, And I was like, I got the blueprint. I've listened to hours and hours of his channels. So I tell some people I've got a master's degree in the Ricky Caruth Zero to Diamond program.
No, but that's true. But one of the things that kind of interests me is that you did study it before you actually got your license, right? But it also seems where I'll see a lot of agents, they will study, especially or analyze it after they get their real estate license, and they don't actually implement, right?
Right.
Or,
Yeah.
execute. And it's one of the things that I've seen you do over time. Obviously, we've been making Zoom calls together, cold calls together on Zoom for years. But one of the things I've seen you do lately is social media,
Yeah.
whereas you really didn't have that big of a presence. And then, bam, like you're getting video content out there consistently. Um, so how's that going? I love your content, by the way, but how's it going?
Thank you. It's okay. It takes a lot of time, which I was thinking, it takes a lot of time, but it's one of those things where the video's out there, and this is something that kind of stuck with me for a long time. The video's out there and it's not going to go anywhere, and people can
Mhm.
continue to watch it when I'm sleeping, when I'm on another appointment, when I'm at my son's game. People can watch the video and see my name and hear my voice and maybe create a relationship with me. Um, but I just think that it's one of those things that needs to be operating in the background while, shoot, you and I are doing something like this, or while I'm driving around going to another appointment. People can be scrolling through Facebook, seeing my name, seeing the way I talk, kind of do a little
Yeah.
background check on me if they want to. Um, but yeah, it's a good question. I was trying to figure out, okay, so how am I going to do this? I used to just point the camera at me and do live videos, but those sometimes would not be such good quality and they would not be interesting at all. So I've been using this program called Opus Clip, and we can create a video like you and I are doing right now, and then I can send the link or send the attachment to this program, and it uses some sort of an AI, face recognition or hooks and loops or questions or whatever, tones in your voice, and it can kind of create a short viral video with captions and with titles. So that's what I've been doing lately. I tell my
I
photographer,
didn't realize that. I didn't realize that because I've been watching your videos. I didn't realize that they were AI generated.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I go in and I'm a little bit more OCD. That's where I go in the mornings and I can kind of edit it a little bit more than what it sends me.
Yeah.
I can take out some words or it'll take out the ums, but have a really tough time saying, a lot. Every time I'm doing a video, I'm always saying, oh, and this and oh, and like, so it's like one of those filler words for me. So I got to go in and take those out myself. Um, but you can add, like, they call it AB rolls, which is like an image. If you and I are talking about like sunflowers or something, it'll pick up on that, and I can
Mm,
click the AB roll and it'll show us a field of like sunflowers. I don't know. So
wow. What's
it
the
can,
cost of
yeah,
that?
So I just went and spent $200 for the entire year, and I've got like unlimited minutes or credits, So I think, well, maybe no, it's like $235 for the whole year. It goes by credit. So
Uh-huh.
if we're at 15 minutes right now on this video, that would be, I think, 15 credits, and you get like 60 credits a month. I've never even hit any of my credit limits. So I think you
Mhm.
get like 60 credits a month or a week or something like that. But I've never reached it. But I tell my photographer every time I get a listing, this is where I do it. I tell my photographer, he brings the little lapel thing with the microphone. And I say, hey, make sure you take a picture of the fireplace, put a fake fire in there. Make sure you get a picture of the roof, the sunset, or, the mountains in the background.
The money
And
shot.
yeah, you got to get, because sometimes the photographers, they just miss that money shot.
Hmm.
And then I say, hey, just point the camera at me. I'm just going to like spiel randomly for like 10 minutes. And so he's like, all right, cool. But he's got the really nice camera and he's got the lapel thing. So it sounds really nice. So and then he just sends it to me. It's no extra work for him. He just has to point the camera at me. And I take that and send it to the Opus Clip. And then Opus Clip, shoot, they'll send me like 20 viral videos that I can just drip out every single day. And if you get 2 listings, there's 40 videos. You know what I mean?
Wow. I mean, that's a really good hack that I
Yeah.
just learned about today. So, because I have started outsourcing a little bit of my content, like with the podcast and stuff like that. But from day one that I've been editing all of my videos myself, and it's very time consuming, and it's a job.
Yeah.
It is another job that you have in addition to selling real estate and making sure that you still have business coming in. But yeah, it's something that I would look into because it is very time consuming. And because I do know that even though you're putting out these videos, you are still very consistent on the phone and showing up. And, I find you very inspiring. I love to surround myself with people that have that kind of work ethic. Because I think success is contagious almost,
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah, well, it goes back to that quote I always hear, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with. And literally, we spend so much time with each other on the Zoom calls with those other guys in that room. And I'm like, looking at it Friday afternoon, I'm like, holy crap, dude. Like, I've had
I
more
know.
conversations with you than I've had like with my wife or with my kids.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, we are talking about work and building
Well, it
businesses and
is
that sort of
work and
stuff.
like strategizing, but it is
Yeah.
true. But then at least it's not like what you were saying where you're just like in a bunker by yourself, just working away. Because I was the same way. I would back when I was with my other brokerage, I would go to my office, shut the door, and I I would hate it when I had to go to the bathroom, for a bathroom break. Cause I'm like, dang it, somebody's gonna like start talking to me on the phone, and I've like got things I've got to do.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
with this, like we're all like we've got a common goal in mind, which is to further our business, and we've got that in
Yeah.
common. And then too, it's relatable. We don't feel alone if someone's horrible to us on the phone, or like we kind of stick together and
Right.
encourage each other. So it really
Yeah.
is a good
And it's
vibe. It really
yeah,
is.
it's super easy if you have like an important phone call. Since we're just here, like whatever, screen friends or something, we can just be like, oh, I got a call coming in, click mute. Nobody gets offended. But like, I've been in here in the office before with some of the agents, and like, if I get a call coming in, I'm like, oh crap, like looking at them and then looking at my phone, being like, oh, I really got to get this. But like in
Yeah,
the Zoom room, it's like click, mute, camera off,
we're all
hey, how you
working.
doing? Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
And sometimes we'll like actually put our conversations, with a client or whatever on the phone, and then pick up little tricks like that. But yeah, it's really cool. So kind of going back to your market, is there a specific area or neighborhood in North Carolina that you specialize in, and what makes them unique or attractive to potential buyers or investors?
yeah. Franklin, that's where I specialize. That's where I live.
Mhm.
Franklin, Highlands, and Cashers. They're all. I live in Franklin, Highlands, and Cashers, just the next town over. Um, what makes them so special is just that it's, people call it like old town America. It's just like super old timey where like you can go into the gas station or into the coffee shop and if you're, there at a weird time or you're like
Mhm.
dressed like, you're ready to go to the disco or something, people will look at you and be like, what the heck is this dude doing? Um,
Yeah. Where are you going?
yeah,
Why are you all fancy?
yeah, exactly. Like, we've got, it's F-150 country and flannels and
Mhm.
John Deere and, um, but we just have some of the most amazing mountains. I was born in
Yes.
Vermont actually, and the mountains up there are nice, but our mountains here, I mean, they're straight up and down. We're in like a little bit of a bowl where you can drive around and like sometimes you just get stuck at a stoplight. You're like, oh my gosh, like, is this really where I live?
Wow. So
Yeah, the sun
pretty.
setting. In the winter, if we get like a little frost, like the tops of the mountains will turn white and,
You
we
actually
call
get
them
to
the
see
smoke.
leaf color.
Yeah, yeah, leaves change color. Yeah, it's definitely like a huge market around here. Speaking about real estate, that's one of my go-to sayings is we have an extended market. A lot of folks, oh, I don't want to sell yet. It's the summer's over. We're just going to head back down to Florida. Maybe we'll put it back on the market next year. And I'll say, we have an extended market up here in leaf looking season. That's what people call it, leaf looking season.
Huh.
And people drive super slow around our windy roads. And, oh, all these leaf lookers are just in town again, and people will come in and look at the leaves and they'll cause traffic. They'll pull over and take pictures.
That sounds
So
like
that's
something
definitely
I
one of
would
my go.
do. I live in
Yeah,
Florida, right? And, so people, come to vacation where I live, but I go to vacation, places like where you live, because mountains are novelty, leaves changing colors. That's novel to me. My little girl's never seen snow before.
oh
So
yeah,
those are all things like when I go on vacation, I don't go to the beach.
right.
Our family goes to the mountains. So it's just kind of interesting that we kind of have those different dynamics.
Yeah,
Floridians do have a thing for, leaves changing colors and, you know, hills are mountains to us basically. So we get very impressed with that.
I'll never forget, driving around some of these corners with buyers in my truck because we'll have one way. Our subdivisions
Yeah.
are like, are they're not like subdivisions in Florida or Alabama or Georgia. Our subdivisions they're one road in, a one way road in, and the same way coming back out, and the road is only big enough for one vehicle. And all the people that are in the subdivision know exactly where the turnoffs are, so that
Mhm.
if there is two cars coming, then one person can go into that turnoff or back in. And I've had buyers before say, Dan, I don't want to buy in that neighborhood before, because what am I going to do if two cars come? And I'm like, dude, obviously, there's a plan for that. You just have to know the neighborhood and you have to understand where the turnoffs are. But we'll be going around the corner and now people will be grabbing the handle up top and
I'm the
being
exact
like, oh my
way.
gosh, dude. Yeah.
Yes. It's so nerve-wracking because I don't drive in the mountains, but I'm just, the passenger and I'm like, "Oh, okay. Like, where
Yeah.
this is a sharp turn," because we're not used to that here. We don't know what we're doing with that, and it is kind of like a roller coaster ride. It's better than Disney
Right.
World, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, the kids, you can understand real quick which kids are from out of town and which kids aren't because they get car sick, really, really quick, especially if they're looking at those iPads and the iPhones. We start riding up the mountains. Next thing you know, they're like, Dad, pull over. And I'm like, get a bag, hurry up.
Oh no. Wow. That
Yeah,
is, yeah, I have to be cognizant of that. Just, I can't look at my phone when I drive or my laptop, or it's just for a short amount of time. And then I'm like, all
right.
right, I need a
Yeah,
break. um,
yeah.
but I would like to know, just kind of like wrapping up, um, what do you enjoy most about being in real estate, especially in North Carolina, and what keeps you motivated in staying consistent, especially in this ever changing market that we're in?
Yeah. Oh, the thing I enjoy most is going kind of back to that story where I met my buyer's agent in South Carolina, where she just, she could control her day. It's funny, I can control my day, and I find myself waking up way earlier than I
Yeah.
would wake up when I was a high school teacher. Um,
Mhm.
but I just enjoy it. When I was a high school teacher, you could go in and I could work so hard and spend so much time and energy, but you're only going to make a certain amount of money. Here with real
Mhm.
estate, you can wake up, but you better be careful. Am I going to step this way? Am I going to step that way? Am I going to take this phone call? Am I going to take that meeting? What's going to be most
Mm.
beneficial for me and my family? So, like, navigating that puzzle, that game is like so exciting for me, because sometimes I'll look back at the day and I'll say, or the month, and I'll say, I shouldn't have taken that listing, or I shouldn't have taken that meeting. It was a waste of time. That meeting that I went to was awesome. I'm so glad I went to that. I was thinking about canceling it, but I'm so glad I went to it. So having that like
Mm.
reflection, and just like that being able to be fluid and pick and
Mm.
choose what you want to do when your feet hit the ground, it's just like it's
Mm.
literally like the ultimate game. So it's super fun. So that motivates me.
Yeah.
What was the other question?
I
That was a
mean, no,
two-part
I
one.
know. It was, I know. So I think, you hit the nail on the head as far as like, what do you most enjoy about really being a real estate agent? But I guess my question to you, and this is a deeper question, what is your why? What keeps you
Oh yeah.
motivated?
Yeah, I think it's just like the legacy of like my family. My parents did a really good job of kind of laying like the groundwork of what it means to be like a productive member of society, but also like a productive member of the family. So that was kind of like two categories. Hey, you can be a productive member of society, but we also want you to be a productive member of the O'Connells. And that looks like this. It looks like going above and beyond. It looks like showing up early. It looks like outworking everybody. It looks like leaving late. Um, and that's kind of
Yeah.
like where I would apply that to my athletic career, and just kind of rolled it straight into, well, I did it as being a teacher, but I wasn't rewarded. I was rewarded during my athletic career for showing up early and leaving late and outworking everybody. Being a high
Yep.
school teacher, not really, but now during real estate, it's the same thing. You get rewarded for that. So, but so taking
Mm.
that piece and then now showing it to my kids, like when my kids wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, they see me working, and when I come home at 5, they see me, putting my phone away and spending time with them. So like just kind of doing, taking a little bit from my upper generation and then just pouring it into the lower generation. That's really what like keeps me going.
Yeah, so you just want to build a legacy for your family and then also show your sons, what it's what you got to do, the work ethic and setting a good example for them.
Yeah.
And then too, to have a better future for your family, to be able to provide more. That for sure
Yeah.
is a huge motivator for me. Is I always want to be able to take care of my family no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And it's funny, like if you even took the monetary portion out of it, if you had those skills, you wouldn't even need to worry about the money. The money would come, if you just have those
Hmm.
essential like building block skills, apply it to any industry, and the success will follow.
Yeah. So one thing I definitely want to touch on because this is the most interesting thing I mean, I had no idea about this with you, but I was talking to you about how I'm going to go to Manhattan for a conference, and you were like,
Oh yeah.
"Oh, yeah, I used to live there," and I was like, "What?" And you're like, "And I was a personal trainer." So I'm like
Yeah.
mind blown. Like that, this is an incredible
Yeah.
story. So how old were you when you were in New York? Like, what? How did this happen?
The prime age of anyone wanting to live in New York City. I was just graduated from college, and so I was young, excited, hungry, ready to start making some money finally after being in college and being broke. So just, I had an internship at a corporate fitness facility in Providence, Rhode Island. And I was like, what is this corporate fitness? Like I grew up, in, you know,
Yeah.
gyms with athletes and, fitness or, performance centers for athletes and sports and all that kind of stuff. So corporate fitness, what the heck is that? I didn't even know it like went in the same sentence. So I went on the website and looked at it, and I was like, "Oh, dude, this company has locations in like New York and like Miami and like LA, and like, dude, that'd be awesome. I'd love to go live there and
Work
work in the
out and get
gym."
paid.
Yeah. So I applied for the one in New York, and I got the job, and lived in Brooklyn for 2 years. Personal training in the Credit Suisse building on Madison Ave, and it was like Madison and 23rd or something,
Oh my gosh.
right near the Shake Shack on the Flatiron building. You know that building that goes like that.
Yes, yes, yes,
It's like
yes.
literally right, yeah, right there.
So what were you
But
doing? Were
that
you
was
just training Wall Street people? Like, let's
pretty
work on your
much, yeah, yeah.
guns.
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much all the finance bros, the finance bros
Yes.
would come in there and, but I, again, like always trying to like, you know, take it to the next level. I quickly realized that the CEOs of the company, the guys and gals that had the big bucks
Yeah.
would show up at like 5:30. So I went to my
Huh.
manager and I was like, can I change my shift? She was like, to what? And I was like, I want the early shift at like, 5:30, like 4:30, 5:30. And she's like, why would you ever want to do that? Because that's when all the CEOs come in and I want to like, I want to train them. I'd rather train them than the first year student out of Yale, who doesn't really,
Right.
you know. So I would hang out with those CEOs and the managing finance directors and all them, and they tell me little tips about Wall Street and
Hmm.
little tips about success. Some of these guys would live in New Jersey and they would commute like an hour and a half to get to the gym at like 5:30. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? It's like, what, you're up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, like getting on the train, doing a 2 hour commute so you could work out, then go up to the office. What time are you leaving? So just like learning some of those habits from those folks
Yeah.
was a big like portion of my career. And I'll never forget one of the guys. I'd create good relationships with these older successful men and women. And one of the guys was like, dude, if you ever have a chance to get out of New York City, take it. And I was like, why? He was like, because you'll just get stuck here. You can get stuck here. It's like an adult theme park. He was like, I'm not married. I don't have any kids. Yeah, I got a sweet, mansion flat, and I spend thousands of dollars on the club every Saturday night. But that's, sometimes I want to have the family and I want to have the kids and live in the suburbs. But it's
Mm.
just so hard to get out of the
Rat
adult theme
race.
park. Yeah,
Yeah. In the
yeah,
rat race, like the hustle and stuff like that. And then, at the end of the day, I work really hard and I know you work really hard, but at the end of the day, like what's for? It's for taking care of the people that we love, you
right.
know? And if you don't have that,
Yeah.
like what's the point?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah. You can take the money away, because at the end of the day, it's who's at home or who your group is. That's
Mm.
what's most important.
Yeah, and I think that's really interesting just to kind of tie it all in. I think it's interesting that back in the day, early 20s, you wanted to hang out with CEOs. And then, here you got the Zoom room and we're hanging around people that are ambitious and consistent and, wanting more. And I think it really is
Yeah,
at the end of the day who you surround yourself with. Success leaves
yeah, yeah,
clues.
definitely.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Well, I'm so
average and fat
glad
people. You're
that
right.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we got to do this. And, again, if anyone has any needs in North Carolina, especially in the beautiful mountain area of Franklin, North Carolina, hit up my friend Dan. I send business his way all the time because I know him, I trust him. He's a phenomenal agent and he's good to his word, which, is it's just important to me when I'm working with other agents. So hit him up. And Dan,
Yeah.
what's the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah, if you just follow me on Instagram or any, social media platform, it's all the same, just at Dan O'Connell NC. You just type that into Google, you'll find me. Should find me ASAP.
Yes, and you're very active on there because I see you. And I'm gonna go check out, what was the name of that program again? Opus?
It's called Opus. Yeah, OPUS Clip. Opus Clip.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check that out. See if I
Yeah.
can hack the system like you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you so
Go
much for
for it.
being
Thanks
on
so much
here.
for having me,
And
Rachel.
it's good seeing you, friend. I'll see
Yeah.
you on Zoom.
Okay. See you. Thank you. Have a great day.
Okay. You too. Bye. All right. And boom.